Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on the Empress Pendant, and this pendant uses a big old oval fancy stone. And if you happen to have the Eureka Crystal Beads last collection, the Poppy Fields collection, this stone is from that collection, so grab your stone. Now you can do it exactly the way I'm doing it, or you can hold it this way and make it, you know, any way you like, really. The bezel is going to be the same no matter what, and then you could always, you know, choose your own bail and your own embellishment. I'm going to give you this one today. We'll do a little bit of the chain, and I'll show you, and I'll crimp with you. So I'm going to clear this off. I'm going to get a materials list going, and we're going to get started. Okay, we got a lot of materials going, but we'll get through it. So we need one of the 25 by 18 millimeter fancy oval fancy stones. This is a Potomac crystal fancy stone, but you can use a Swarovski as well, whichever you have. I only have this one. I already used the Swarovski on this one. So you'll need that. You need two colors of Delicas. So see how the blue is in the background on that? Okay, and then the edging is in the bronze. So two colors of Delicas. You need a 15-0. I'm using two different colors. I'm just using a few of these gold ones to brighten it up in the center, but you don't have to do that. 11-0 seed beads, 3mm pearls, 5mm pearls, and 6mm pearls. Now the 5 and 6mm pearls are for the chain, so you can always change that if you want, but the 3mm pearls are going to be for the pendant. So then the 5 and the 6mm, you need some 4mm bicones. You need 5 of these little drops right here. You'll need some Toho 8-0 Demi rounds, and that's just the accent bead in between the chain beads. A couple of crimp beads, a couple of crimp covers. I've got a clasp here. I've got some decorative beads like this, it's like this red bead here. These are from my stash, and they're vintage beads, but on this one I used these beads here. Just any kind of decorative bead to put on your chain, you know, on your necklace part. These are actually from the dollar bead box. I have this little stopper, which is great for a wire. Speaking of wire, I have some 7-strand Beadalon wire. I've got 8-pound Fireline, size 11 and 12 beading needle, and there should be a stop bead hanging around somewhere, which I can't find, so I'll put a pearl out for a stop bead. I've got the, you know, the tools you might need, or you will need for crimping if you're going to do the crimping. So don't forget to look in the description box below the video for all materials, size, shapes, colors, amounts, everything you'll need. There's a lot of materials here, so don't forget to look down there. So click the down arrow to show more. The box will open. All the materials are there. Places to buy beads, links to certain beads if you are interested will be down there as well. Okay, so I'm going to clear this off and we're going to get started. Okay, let's get started. So thread your needle with about 3.5 feet of thread and put a stop bead around halfway through. So you have half your thread coming out of one side, half coming out of the other. So I'm going to pick up 54 11-0 Delicas and drop them down to my stop bead. I'm going to sew those into a circle by sewing through the first Delica after my stop bead. This is what I have. Just like that. Now we're just going to start a little peyote bezel. So pick up your Delica, pop in a teeny bit more, exiting this first one, skip the next one, and sew through the following one. Make sure that bead pops up on the previous bead, and you don't want to keep it, you know, just not super tight. You don't want to bunch up the beads too much. Pick up a Delica, exiting this one, skip this guy, sew through the next one. So your standard peyote right now. Pick up a Delica, exiting here, skip this guy, or the next Delica, and sew through the next one. It's going to do that all the way around. So pick up a Delica, exiting this one, skip the next one, sew through the following one. Like that. Do a couple more times. Pick up a Delica, exiting here, skip the next one, sew through the next one. Pick up a Delica, exiting here, skip this one, sew through the next one. Okay, so just do that all the way around till you get to the end, and then come on back and we'll step up together. Okay, coming down to the end, so I've come all the way around. I'm exiting this Delica right here. So I'm picking up a Delica. I'm going to skip the next Delica. I'm going to sew through this one, so the next Delica, and the one on the diagonal, just like that. So you see I'm exiting there, skipping this one. I've got one on my needle, so I'm sewing through the next Delica and the one on the diagonal. That for a couple seconds. That's going to put that bead in place. So I'm going to give that a pull, and that's going to set that. Just pull that a little bit. There you go. So now we have our round done. All right, so I'm just going to let you get to that point, and then we'll continue. Okay, time for another round. So now we're going to pick up the metallic bronze Delica. So that's our other color Delica. And I'm just going to put a Delica, so I'm going to sew a Delica through each sticking out Delica. So picking up a Delica, sewing through the next one. Pick up a Delica, sew through the next one. Pick a Delica, very easy. You know, once you get that circle made, it's sort of, you know, it gets much easier after that. So I'm just going to do this all the way around. Like that. So get that done. It's going to start to curve a little bit. You don't need to force it. It will sort of curve on its own. So get that done, meet me at the end, and we'll step up together. Okay, coming down to the end. So exiting here, putting on a Delica, picking up my last Delica. I'm going to sew through this Delica and the one on the diagonal. Just like that. And now that round is done. So now you're going to pick up your 15-0s. So we're still on this side. We'll get to the other side in a minute. I'm going to pick up a 15-0, and you're going to put a 15-0 in between each of the metallic bronze Delicas. So pick up a 15-0, sew through the next Delica. Pick up a 15-0, sew through the next Delica. 15-0, through the next Delica. Okay, so do that all the way around, and then we're going to step up at the end. All right, so go ahead and I'll see you back here in a minute. Back for a second. So as you're putting your 15-0s on, you just want to pull it inward a little bit. So I'm just making sure that it's starting to curve a little. Say, I'm just like that. I'm not yanking it too hard. I'm just pulling it. And you say, oh, it's starting to curve? All right, so carry on, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, coming down to the end, putting on a 15-0, sewing through the next Delica. Last 15-0, sew through the next Delica, the next sticking out Delica, which is that gold one, and the one on the diagonal. Like that. And now we have, whoops, our next round of 15-0s on. So you can do that one more time on this side. So you're just going to pick up a 15-0 and sew through the next sticking out 15-0, and again, like that. Okay, so just do that all the way around, and you can even step up at the end and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, I'm about to step up. Oops. So here, exiting here, just going to sew through the next 15-0 and the one on the diagonal. Like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to leave this for the moment, and I want you to take your other thread, and I want you to add a round. We're going to just repeat on the other side, but we want to get the stone in there. So I'm going to start adding, so here I've taken off my stop bead. I'm starting to, I'm actually, here you're exiting, let me get you over to the front here. You're exiting a bead right here, so it's sort of the indented bead right here. So all you want to do is just sew through the next bead to get yourself, you know, positioned to put beads around the other side. So, you know, I'll just let you get to that point and then we'll continue. So now that you're on the outside edge, you're just going to start with the metallic bronze Delicas now. And you want to do a round on this side, and we're going to pop the stone in as soon as we can. Like, we'll try it in a second. Like, it's looking pretty good. So this side looks fine to me. I could make that the front of my bezel, and it sort of popped in pretty nicely. It's not going to stay yet, but that's how it's going to look. So you just, what you can do is you can kind of pop it in and hold it like that, and then you can continue putting on your Delicas, and I'm holding it in this hand, in my left hand, or, you know, my non-dominant hand, just so I can pull the beads through. So as I'm going through with my metallic bronze, I'm pulling them inward a little bit to capture the stone. And like as I said, it's not going to stay in yet. There'll be a point, I always call it that sweet spot. See, it's going to look pretty, when it will start to stay on its own, and it's coming up. Could be just the end of this row or round, or it could be the next round. All right, so I'm just going to let you continue doing that. So come all the way around with those Delicas, and then you're going to step up, and we're going to add 2 more rounds of 15-0s, but I'll step up with you at the end of this round. Okay, see you in a few. Coming down to the end, so here I have another Delica to put on. So exiting here, I'm going to sew through the blue one, and then the one on the diagonal. So that's the next sticking out Delica, and the one on the diagonal. That steps me up. My stone is pretty well captured. Of course, I need a few more, you know, a couple more rounds to get it perfect. So here, looking pretty good, huh? So I'm just going back to this side, and I'm going to add 2 rounds of 15-0s here, just like I did on the other side. So just do that all the way around. So you can do both rounds of 15-0s, and then meet me back here and we'll continue. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so coming down to the end, so exiting here, just gonna sew through the next 15-0 and the one on the diagonal. So there's my back. It's done for the moment. So let's keep that needle and thread there, or at least keep that thread there. And you can give this a little pull. It should be sitting very nicely at this point. So on this one, I did the whole back as I did the front, and on this sample, I just put another round of 15-0s on the back. I put the gold 15-0s there. So I think I'll do that on this one, but I'll do that after. Right now, let's turn over to the front. And what we're going to do is we're exiting. So here, this is my other needle, my front of the bezel. So I'm exiting this little 15-0 here. So I'm going to pick up a 15-0, and I'm still picking up the bronze 15-0s. I'm going to sew through the next 15-0 like that. I'm going to pick up another 15-0, sew through the next 15-0 like that. Alright, so then, pull in a little bit so you can see, okay, a little more clearly. So here I'm exiting this 15-0. I'm just going to pass my needle through the next 15-0 and the one after that on the diagonal. So this one and this one. You can do them both together or one at a time. So I'll just leave my needle there for a few seconds. So I've just passed my needle through, okay? Now I'm going to pick up a 15-0 and sew through the next 15-0. Going to pick up a 15-0, sew through the next 15-0 like that. Now I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to so I'm exiting right here. I'm just going to just sew with the needle and thread right through the next bead. I'll do them one at a time. So that bead, and then the one on the diagonal right here. And I'm going to add a 15-0. Sew through the next 15-0, 15-0, sew through the next 15-0. I'm going to do that again. So exiting right here, I'm just going to sew through this guy, that bead right there, and the one on the diagonal, this one up here, like that. And then I'm going to pick up a 15-0, sew through the next 15-0, pick up a 15-0, sew through the next 15-0, like that. Just do it one more time. So exiting here, just going to needle through the next bead there and the one on the diagonal. So this one here and then this one. Then I'm going to add a 15-0 through the next 15-0 and another 15-0 through the next 15-0. So you're going to do that all the way down to the end, and then meet me back here and we'll put our last round on. Close to the end, so I'll finish up this round with you. So here I've put on two 15-0s, one here, and then here I'll pull this one up a little bit, one there, like that. So then I'm going to go through, sew through the next bead, and then the one above it. And I'm going to pick up a 15-0. Sew through the next 15-0, pick up a 15-0, sew through the next 15-0. So now I'm coming down to the end. So here I've exited this 15-0. So I'm going to sew through the same two right here, this one and this one. Can you see that? Okay. So this one. This one. And this one, this next one, like that, okay? And I'm just going to let you get to this point, and then we're going to add some more beads on. So all we're going to do now is put one bead in between each of these two points we've created here. So I'm using the bright gold because I think it just gives it like a little, like it looks like the light is shining on it. But you can add, you know, any color you like, or any bead you want here, as long as it's 15-0. So exiting here, just going to sew through the next bead. And you see how that bright gold kind of gives it a pop? Now you just want to get over to this next group of two, so you have to just sew through all the beads. So you can just do them one at a time, like that. There. And then I'm just going to sew through this one, so I can put a bead there. And I'm just sewing through them one at a time because, you know, the way the holes are, they're this way. So when you try to sew diagonally through like a long line, it, you know, your needle could get stuck and you could break a bead. So just take your time. Exiting here, I'm going to put that 15-0 on right there. I'll do this with you again. Just exiting here, sew through this one. Sew through this one. Just working your way over. Sew through this one and this one. I'm pulling in at this point and pushing them down as I go. So just picking up a 15-0, placing it right there at that point. So that's what you're going to do all the way around. So do that, get that done, and meet me at the end, and we'll continue. Okay, so we're coming down to the end. I'm just working on my last, putting my last gold 15-0 in. Get up, put it in. Now I'm going to just get rid of this thread, so I'm going to sew through this 15-0, this 15-0. So I'm working my way towards the blue beads. I'm going to sew through this Delicas. So everything's on the diagonal, so there's no thread showing. and then through this one, and you can go back up in this direction, sew around a little bit, and you're done with the front of your bezel. So I want you right now to step back and look at your beautiful work, and look at your gorgeous bezel that you created. And then I want you to take your back needle and thread and just put one more round of 15-0s on the back, just to make sure it's beautifully and perfectly secure. Or you can even do this again on the back. Do the same thing on the back that we did on the front. All right, so whichever you choose, do that, and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So now we're going to do a little embellishing on the outside of this bezel. So I'm just going to start with the stitch in the ditch around here, and then we're going to go to the fringe. So thread your needle with, about 2.5 feet of thread, and we're going to sew through. We're going to look at the colored side here, so where the blue is, and stitch in the ditch is putting a bead right in between these two beads right here. Okay, so see, you have 2 blue, then 1 blue, 2 blue, 1 blue. So this is where we're going to put a bead. So you're just going to sew through. It doesn't matter where you sew through right now. What part of the bezel. Just make sure you're sewing through that center bead right there. So you see those on the sides, and that's the center. So I'm just going to place my thread on there, and I'm going to pick up the metallic bronze Delica. So exiting here, I'm just going to sew through that next one that's in the center. And when I put that on, you see how it sits right there? So it sits in the ditch between these 2 beads right here. So we'll do it again. So I have this one on here. I'm exiting right here. This bead, I'm just going to sew through the next one right in line. That's going down the center. And now I have 2 stitches on. Stitches in the ditches. Going to do that again. Exiting this blue bead right here. So I put this gold one on this blue. Just going to sew through the next one in line of the center beads there. I have 3 stitches in the ditch on. So you're just going to do that all the way down. And we'll do it one more time. Delica, exiting this blue one right here. Just going to sew through the next center blue one. Right there. Okay? So just do that all the way around, and then meet me at the end and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So we have one more Delica to put on. So I'm going to pick up my bronze Delica. And I want to place the bead right here. Okay, so I need to sew through this one, which is right next to the original one. So get it through like that. Just be careful. If you need to go down to a size 12 beading needle, then you can do that. Get the fuzz out there. So here I'm on. So I'm exiting the blue one right down here. I'm just going to sew right through the metallic bronze one, the next one. I'm giving that a pull. I can feel it tighten up really nicely. Okay, so just get to that point. Just do it slow and take your time, and we'll continue. Okay, so now that we have all our stitches in the ditches on, we're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, not a Delica now. We're doing a regular round seed bead, and I'm going to put 1 seed bead in between each of the Delicas we just put on. So pick up an 11-0, pop that through. 11-0. Next one, 11-0, next one, and so on. Just do that all the way around, and then meet me at the end. Okay, coming down to the end again. So I have my last seed bead on. I'm going to sew through this one and that very first one I put on to tighten this up, and then you can go through a couple of more beads here. Like that, and then I want you to sew both of the threads in, so sew your tail in and sew your working thread in. And the way you're going to do that is you're just going to sew through this Delica, and then you can sew back up through this one, just wherever you can fit your thread. Just sew it in, make sure it's nice and snug, and then meet me back here. You know, do this one. Meet me back here, and we'll start the fringe for a second. So when I'm sewing the threads in the back, I just want to make sure you get it, you know, you're sewing them in tight enough. So I went through a blue one. I'm going to go through this gold one. I'll go through another blue one. And I'll just do this, you know, around as far on the back as I feel that I need to get this to feel nice and snug. And I'll do the same thing with this. So just make sure you're sewing around a bit, and you can even reverse direction. So let's say you're coming through this one, and then you would reverse direction through this blue one, but I don't think you're going to get it through the blue one. So you can actually reverse direction through this little 15-0 right here. Just do it gently. And then go on the diagonal to the next 15-0, like that. And then sew through the next Delica. And do this all on the back, and then you can continue sewing through some more Delicas just to make sure it's nice and snug. All right, so just a couple of tips on that. All right, so get that done and then come on back and we'll put the fringe on. Okay, let's start the fringe. So we're going to start with the center fringe here. So thread your needle with about 2.5 feet of thread. Put on a stop bead in the middle, so you have half the thread coming out of one side and half coming out of the other side. So you're going to find center on your stone. So I just use my needle. I have a facet down there right in the center that shows, but if you don't, just use your needle, eyeball it, and you want to find the Delica that's closest to center. So that's this one. I'm going to be using the 2 seed beads on the either side of that Delica. So I'm just going to take this out, and I'm going to insert my needle right on that seed bead on the edge of that Delica. I'm going to pull that through, just like that. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, a pearl, 3mm pearl, an 11-0, a 4mm bicone, an 11-0, a 3mm pearl, an 11-0, and then I'm going to pick up my drop, like that. Then I'm going to pick up 3 11-0s, drop those down. This is what I have. I'm going to skip the 3 11-0s and sew up through all the beads I just put on. Just right through. Like that. Just holding it with my finger and pulling up so that it's nice, it's up against the bezel. So this is what I have. I'm exiting that 11-0 at the top. I'm going to sew through this 11-0 now on the other side of the Delica, so the other side of that center Delica. That's going to place my first drop on. So that's center drop, and then I'm just going to put it down and let you get to that point, and then we'll put on another drop. Okay, we're back. So I have my first drop on, and I'm exiting this 11-0 right here. So I put on my needle and drop down an 11-0, a 3mm pearl, an 11-0, 4mm bicone, 11-0, my drop, and 3 11-0s. This is what I have. I'm going to skip the 3 11-0s and sew through all the beads except the first 11-0 that I put on. I'm going to pull. This is what I have. So now I'm going to pick up another 11-0 like that, and I'm going to sew through the 11-0 on the work right there. So when I do that, it's going to place, see how it places those 2 11-0s sort of at like an angle on this fringe. Okay, so this is what I have so far. Make sure, did I mess that up? No. Okay, I did it. All right, so get that one done, and then come on back, we'll do one more. So now I'm going to put another drop on. So this is the last one on this side. So I'm going to pick up an 11-0, a 3mm pearl, an 11-0, my drop. The girl's having a little bit of issues today with her drops. I don't know why. Okay, here we go. Let me put that on correctly. Okay. There we go. Going to pick up 3 11-0s. Drop those down. Skip the 3. Go up through all the beads except for the 11-0. That first 11-0 that you put on. So here. Like that. Pull. I want to get that up a little bit tighter, so I'm just going to pull, move my hand in a second, just like that. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0 and go through the next 11-0 on my work. And of course at this point you can tighten it up a little bit. So I have on my first 3 drops, like that. Okay, so then you're just going to repeat the same thing on this side. So we already have the center one, and so you just want to repeat these last 2 on this side. All right, so I'm going to do that and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, so all the drops on, and I love it. I think it came out great. So you just want to make sure that you pull both ends, so pull them nice and snug, and make sure everybody's sitting nicely. Hold it up, give it a little shake, and just, you know, give it a little pull, and then you want to sew in these ends. I know I'm doing everything separately, but I just think it works out better this way, because then we want to put the bail on, but I want to put that on separate. So I'm just going to take both ends and sew them in. I mean, if you really, really want to, you can hold these threads and work them up to the bail here, but I'm just going to sew them in so everybody lays nice and straight. All right, so I'm going to sew in my ends and then come on back and we'll put on the bail. Okay, we're back and it's time to put the bail on. So if you notice with this sample, the pearl, that 6mm pearl in there is sort of incorporated into the herringbone bezel. See, so I've put it on, it's gone into my bail here, and I put the wire through. And then all I'm going to do at this point, after I'm done with that, is I'm just going to add beads on either side of the wire to complete my necklace. Now, if you want, you can just do a peyote bail or any kind of bail you like, but I thought this might be fun. So again, here, that's what it looks like. So this is incorporated, and these are separate on the sides. All right, so let's get to it. So thread your needle with about 2.5 feet of thread. Put a stop bead on in the center again. So we're going to be using both sides of the thread. So you're going to pick out 4 seed beads that are sort of centered on your bezel right here. So my 4 would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these 4 right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to sew through the 1 right there, and I'm going to let my stop bead go there. I'm going to pick up 2 11-0s. I'm going to sew through the next 11-0. So that's going to set up one side of the herringbone. Now I'm just going to sew directly through this Delica right there. That's on my bezel. So it's that next Delica there. And then I'm going to sew through this 11-0 right there. I'm going to pick up 2 11-0s and sew through the next 11-0. So here, so I've just set up both, sides of the bail, so we can just use a thread from either side to continue on. So just get to that point and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So this is where we are. We have set up for both of our herringbone strips. I'm just going to turn so here I just want to pull this out. So here I've put those 2 on. I'm exiting this 11-0. Just going to turn it onto the back Okay, so I'm exiting this 11-0. So I want to turn around and get back here again, so I'm going to go like all through the beads here. So I'm going to sew through this Delica, then I'm going to sew back through this one, like that, and then I'm going to sew through this one, and this one. I'm just working my way over there, and this is going to tighten everything up really nicely. So I know it's like weird that I'm going through a million different beads, but it's helpful. So then I'm going to go back through this one, or just continue on through this one. Do it slow. Through this guy. Now I'm going to make a turn. So I'm going to sew through this one, and then through this 11-0 and this 11-0. So now I've turned my thread around, and I've also really secured it to my bezel. All right, so just get to that point, and then we'll start adding on some beads. Okay. So here I'm ready to add some beads on, so I could just at this point turn it so it's face up. So pick up 2 11-0s, exiting here, sew through this one to add those 2, and then you want to just go up the 2 on the other side. I'll move my thumb in a second. Okay, there, you just want to go up through the 2 on the other side. Pick up 2 11-0s, so down through this one, and then up the 2 on the other side. More time, 2 11-0s, down this one, and up the 2 on the other side. Like that. And you're just going to do that until you have a total of 14 herringbone stitches on. So start counting from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to add 10 more and then come on back and we'll continue. Okay, we're back. So I have my 14 beads on, and I'm going to turn around. I just want to test this real quick. So I'm turning it onto the back. So when I sew this, I'm going to fold it over and sew it to the bezel here. So I'm just going to find a bead. So this bead is where I'm going to sew it in, so here's where it's all coming out of. I'm just going to just sew through here at the moment. I'm not going to tighten it up yet. And I just want to make sure that my pearl will fit in, because, I don't know, maybe if you use a 7mm pearl, you might have to add more herringbone stitches. So I'm just going to pop my 6mm pearl in, and that works pretty perfectly, getting the 6mm in there. All right, so just make sure that it's going to fit. So I'm just going to, so I've exited, you know, I'm here. I went through this bead here, this Delica on my bezel to attach it, and then I'm just going to sew up through the other side, a couple of beads on the other side of that. You know, of the other side of the herringbone here, and then I'm going to come down again and through that side, sew across the Delica that I'm attaching it to. Move that out of the way, like that, and then back up the other side, like that. And I'm just going to leave that for the moment. And then you want to do the other side. So you just leave that. We'll get back to it. Just going to pull your thread. So pull this guy with the stop bead. Take off your stop bead. Thread your needle. Work your way around like we did on this side. Make your loop and then and attach it. And then meet me back here and we'll continue. Hey, we're back and we're almost there. So I have both my herringbone loops on, and just wanted to let you know, when I put my second loop on, it really fought me a little bit trying to get the herringbone on, but it will go on. It's because we're in a small area, and you know, it's hard to get through the beads. So when I attached it to the Delicas on the back, it just took me, I switched to a size 12 beading needle, and I really had to maneuver and kind of go around a bit to get it attached, but it will happen. I think also when you use these frosted beads, they're like much more brittle, and the thread doesn't slide through as easily as it does on the shiny beads. So I think that caused me a little problem too. But you know, just know that it will work. You just have to play with it a little bit to get it on. All right, so this is what it looks like, and I still have this thread because we're going to use that a little for another minute. So here's my 6mm pearl, and here is my wire. So I'm going to put my wire through one of the loops. I'm going to put my 6mm pearl on that wire, and then put the wire through the other loop. Like that. And that's how it's going to sit in there. So I'm just going to sort of, I'm kind of straightening my wires out, and you want to stick a little bead stopper at the end. I'm just going to put a little sticky post-it note at the end to hold it. So this is what it looks like, and you could certainly leave it just like that, but I'm just going to sew up a little bit. So you want to make sure that your thread, this guy, there you go. Okay, you want to make sure your thread, you want to sew up the inside edges of this herringbone just a little bit. So if your thread isn't coming out in the right place, make sure you move it so it is. I'm just going to sew up through here, like that, and I'm going to just hold it together with my finger. I've gone up 6 or 7 beads, okay? And then I'm going to take an 11-0. You might not have to do this, or you might have to do this. On one of them I didn't, but with this one I think I'm going to need an 11-0 in between. So I'm exiting like number 6 bead here. I'm going to pick up an 11-0 and go down 1, 2, 3, 6 on this side. Like that. Go down the other 3. And again, you're going to have to maneuver your needle around to get that in. See? Like that. And then you might need a bead or two. You're going to go up again. So I think I'm going to might need 1 or 2 here. I'm going to try 2. And I'm going to go back up. Just making sort of a, you know, attaching it in the back there a little bit. And then it's going to sit like that. So here, let me just come all the way up. Like this. And you might even have to go up possibly a little bit more. Let's go up a couple more. And then down. Ah, that's better. Okay. And then down all of these guys. Like that. And that pulls it in nice and tight. And you want to go down all the way to the end. And again, you might need your size 12 beading needle here. And then you're going to sew this thread in. And when I turn it around, this is what it looks like. Okay, so then I have my integrated veil here, like that, and I have my thread here. Now, my wire, so if you don't want to use a wire, you know, the wire is holding the hole right there, so you can always just put a needle through with thread if you want to attach it with thread, but that's how it looks as far as the putting the pearl on, integrating the pearl on the bail. All right, so get that done and come on back and we'll finish up. All right, see you in a minute. Okay, so we're finished the pendant, and I'm going to get you started on the necklace, and I'll show you how to do the crimping for those of you who aren't that familiar with it. So what I did, I'm not going to go through all the beads right now, but I just, so you remember we did this part where we attached the wire and we just had the pendant with the bail. I just added a line of beads that just I thought were pleasing here, and all these colors and sizes I'll put in the description box below the video, but you'll have to decide, you know, your own pattern of what you want to do. You'll see, you know, the picture will be in the intro, so if you want to take a look at it, you know, so you can get these beads. But there are several beads here that you can't get because these are old vintage beads that are from my stash. These are from the dollar bead box, so if you don't get the bead box, you won't be able to get those. These melon beads are also from the dollar bead box. So you just want to choose some really pretty beads in the sizes that I give you in the description box below the video. And I also put links to, you know, for at least the pearls and the bicones, so you could, you know, you can find those easily. All right, so I just want to give you an idea of how to put your clasp on. So this red one, I may just do some sort of beaded clasp. I'm not sure. So this one I'm not going to clasp. But the blue one, I think we could just put a regular clasp on. So I'm just putting a toggle clasp here. And I'll just show you how you just do this one side here. So when you're putting on a clasp that has, let me find my, there we go. Okay, that you're working with pearls at the end. These pearls have small holes and it's very hard to get your wire through. So you want to put something on at the end that has a larger hole, like a bicone, and I have a few of these Demi rounds here, so that you don't have difficulty getting your wire back through, because believe me, I've done that. So you're just going to find a crimp bead. I'm going to pop that on. So that's on at the end. I'm going to put on one end of my clasp, which is I'm putting on the toggle portion. I'm just going to come around and go through that crimp bead again and through the beads that I can get through. So that's going to be those several beads that I put on like that. And you want to make sure that there's no space between where your beads are and the wire. You want to, this side is not as difficult because you can pull from the other side. That's what I'm doing right now. But you also want to keep it fluid. So that's, you know, all part of learning how to do this sort of thing. So here I have this on. And then I'm just going to take my flat nose pliers and I'm just going to crimp that closed, just like that. Okay, so now I have my crimp on. And I'm ready to do the other side. So do this side, get the other side done, and then we'll put the crimp covers on, and then we'll be done. Okay, let's get the crimp cover on. So I've done one side already. So all you're going to do is take your cover, and you just put it right over the crimp. See that? Just kind of sits right over it. And then you're just going to very gently close it, a little at a time. Don't like press too hard, because you know, sometimes they get all bent out of shape. So if you do it slowly, you get it nicely crimped, you know, nicely pressed in there. So there you go. There's our necklace. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is so much fun. Take your time when you do this and just enjoy the process, because it is a, you know, it's a bit of an involved process, but I think it's really worth it if you love it. All right, so I want to thank you so much for joining me. Stay well, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.